Hey everyone, today we're taking a look at Liya Alapex's fixed version from LADoTOYS. This is part of their Mystic Land series, and this is the first figure LADoTOYS has put out, actually. Big thanks to them for sending me a figure out for review. Unfortunately, the one they sent me was stolen off of my porch. So I bought another one so that I could still review it, but my review is delayed a bit because of that, unfortunately. Here's a look at the packaging. I think this one looks pretty nice. It has a window in the front, so it's going to be all right for in-box collectors. Mostly a brown background, but there is some video game looking stonework down here at the bottom and some caution tape in the background. The picture of the figure, the picture there is glossy. It says Mystic Land and Lado along with Liya Alapex's fixed version. Another picture on the side along with a little sprite of the character. If you go to their website, they have little sprites and like an interactive game you can check out. Another face here, some info on the bottom, and a pose and the accessories and different faces on the back there along with some QR codes and some text that says, "I'm Liya, first time I've met you. Do you need anything fixed?" Here she is out of the package. I think she looks pretty good. She has sort of those like anime proportions with the size of the head and the big eyes and everything. I already put the tail on her since I figured that's a core part of the design. It is a little bit heavy though, so I've kind of got it propping her up in the back there. There have been a few lines doing anthropomorphic animals lately, but I think this more anime kind of design is a bit more unique in that space. The face looks really nice. The eyes are painted very well. They have some orange at the top and yellow at the bottom and a little hit of white for like a glint of light. The hair's also sculpted nicely. It has a nice flow to it. And the ears also look very good. Those are articulated. We'll see a bit more of that in the articulation, but you can scooch those around how you'd like. There's a bit of a white line above the eyes there to make them pop a bit more. Down at the shirt, there's some nice shading and airbrushing here to help bring out the brown on the shirt, and there are some little gold hits on the straps. Also has a little accent on the arm there. Here's a better look at the hair. She does have a braid coming down on one side here. Down at the stomach, there's some fur lines painted on. And then at the waist, there are some goggles and a belt. And the belt's painted very cleanly, and the goggles have like some clear plastic in there. At the hands, there's some more of those kind of copper accents, and those are painted well. I think on the fur on the stomach here, it might be a bit of a scuff. Maybe some paint rub from the top. So maybe watch out for that whilst you're articulating. The shorts are painted well. There's some shading on the back. And a bit of white around the bottom there. And then the fur on the thighs is also painted well. I'm not sure if it's supposed to be asymmetrical or if mine just happens to be asymmetrical, but this one's more towards the inside and this is more on the front. At the boots, some silver accents and some copper accents on the toes. There is some nice airbrushing along the front of the toes though. And then back at the tail, it's mostly gray and then comes down to some white on the end of the tail here that fell out. It was just on ball peg, so I can just pop that back on. And that's sculpted well and has a nice flow to it. It is a bit hefty because it's kind of a solid chunk of plastic. So hopefully the stand they included with it will help with that a bit. So really the only issue with mine is a little bit of paint rub on the stomach from the top. Hopefully that's not a huge issue, but be careful with that if you get this figure. For accessories, she'll come with this display stand. It's like a stone path here with a peg on it, and that peg's in the bottom of the foot, and it does seem to help with holding up the figure with that tail. So that's good. She'll come with a couple other faces. This angry face that has blue eyes, and those eyes are painted well as well, and the mouth is also painted well. And then to change out the faces, you just remove the hair on the front, and then the face pops out. And then she'll also come with this kind of blushing face, and all the faces have movable eyes, and it comes with this little square key so you can adjust those if you'd like. I'm just going to leave them for now. So there's that other face. Also painted well. It has some pink and little white lines on the cheeks. Bit of a scuff near the nose of this face on mine. Let's see if I can get that off. Then fists will come on her in the package, but she'll also come with a pair of open hands. The left open hand has the fingers spread a bit more than the right hand. Then she'll come with one right slightly open hand and one left open hand with the fingers curled. And she'll come with a pair of gripping hands. And there are a few different accessories that she can hold in those hands. The first being a sword. It's brown like a wooden training sword. And she holds that in the hand well. There's also a wooden hammer that has some metal details, like a metal band around the front there and then around the handle. And she also holds that well. She'll also come with a hatchet that has some nice metal paint on the front there, and then a wooden handle. Paint for the wood is very nice as well, and I do like the nice shiny metallic for the blade. And just like those others, she holds that very well. Then since she's a mechanic, she'll come with a few tiny tools like this screwdriver, a wrench, and an adjustable wrench. And all those look really good and are painted well. Then to hold some of those tools, she'll come with this tool belt that has a couple pegs on it. There is a peg hole on the belt here in the front, as well as one on the back beside the tail there. So once that's plugged in, it conforms nicely to the hip and has a little bit of swivel. And then we can put our tools in the pouch. So I like that. I like when you can store accessories on a figure. Oh, two of those have holes in the bottom of them, I've just found. So those will be for the axe and the hammer, for example. Maybe for the wrench. Let's see. Yep. So you can get all the tools in there. And that looks pretty cool. I like that. She'll also come with two of these additional wrist pegs. Very tiny in case you break them. So that's good. And finally, she'll come with this stat card. We'll look at the English side. And it has her catchphrase there. I'm Liya, first time I've met you. Do you need anything fixed? And then it says Liya Alapex fix version and some information about the character, such as her gender, age, height, that she's an Arctic fox, birthday, occupation, and her different stats there and skills. Then there's a QR code. I think that'll take you to the website where there's a little animation with some character sprites and like a little game you can play. And that's pretty neat. And then the art here looks pretty good. It's a little pixelated. I like that. On to articulation. At the head, there's a double ball peg. But due to the hair, it is a bit limited looking up. It's not really going to be able to look up at all since the hair is sculpted to come down the back here. I did see with their next figure, they've already improved this design though and put a hinge in the hair, so their next figure will be able to look up more. Looking down, she can look down an okay amount. I do wish maybe there was a neck joint in there to help with that a bit. There is some side-to-side tilt, and you can get some nuanced posing there. On this braid, it's on a little ball peg, so there's a swivel, and you can kind of move it around a bit and get it out of the way for posing. At the ears, these are also on little ball pegs, so you can rotate those around and get different expressions. I like that a lot. There will be a little bit of gapping in some positions, but I don't think it's super noticeable, and I like the option to be able to pose the ears. The arms at the shoulders will move up past horizontal, so that's good. There is a bicep swivel, double jointed elbow that gets pretty good range. I feel like it could get a bit more with how thin these arms are, but that's all the joint will allow for. A ball hinge at the wrist, so you shouldn't have any issues there. At the torso, she'll bend back at this upper diaphragm this far, and then forward about this far. And then with the waist, she can bend back pretty far. There is a bit of gapping in the front there. And forward, not a ton. It's mostly going to be the diaphragm joint where you get leaning forward, not really any at the waist. A bit of side-to-side tilt on both of those joints, and rotation primarily at the diaphragm. At the waist, not really any rotation because it's a bit oblong. I feel like if this waist was rounded out a little bit more, maybe it would allow for more articulation, but that's what we've got. Then this tool belt will hinge a little bit up and down. The legs will go out about this much. There is a drop down hip, and with that, the legs can kick forward this much. Double jointed knees. That will get pretty good range. No boot swivel. There is a swivel at the ankle, and these can hinge back this much, forward this much. There is an ankle rocker and a toe hinge. Toe hinge is decent. It doesn't hinge back too far. It kind of stops right at this kind of flat spot where the laces would be. So I feel like it'll be decently useful. Looks like the ankles are ball hinges. Mine started to separate there from forcing the rocker a little too far, so watch out for that. Should be easy enough to pop back together, yeah. Then at the tail here, you'd have to plug the tail in out of the package. There's just a little peg hole to plug in, and that's on a ball hinge. Since it's a little bit heavy, you will need to rotate it if you want it to stay up, and then it'll bump against the butt and allow it to stay up like that. Then there's also a ball at the midsection here. Not a ton of movement though, just a little bit of swivel there. Due to the way it's sculpted, it kind of locks it in place a little bit. And then at the tip of the tail, you get a little bit more articulation. You can rotate that around all the way and pose it a bit more. She also has thigh swivel that is hidden by the sculpt of the shorts, so that's nice. I like that. Pretty decent articulation. I feel like there's a bit of room for improvement with some things, but I saw their prototype. There's a video posted of a prototype of their next figure. It was a cat, and that one already looks like it'll have a bit better articulation in some spots. So I think they know the limitations and they're already working to improve them on their next figure. For size and comparisons, Liya's standing right at about 6 inches to the top of her head. Here she is with a Savage Crucible lizard and the Romaki Cal Algar. I feel like she's going to be a little bit small for your Savage Crucible figures if you want to fit her with that sort of fantasy line, but it could probably still work. Here she is with the Mezco Crab Louie and Sexy Ice 2019 Mantis. Here she is with the Revoltech Ochako and Mirko. And here she is with a SH Figuarts Naruto and Marvel Legends X-Men 97 Nightcrawler. So overall, I think it's a pretty good figure. It's not perfect, but it has a nice design that's going to appeal to a lot of people. It's going to fit in with anthropomorphic things, it'll fit in with anime things, or even just generic fantasy things. I think it's pretty nice for LADoTOYS' first figure. I'm looking forward to what they make in the future. It looks like they've already recognized the limitations in like the head articulation, for example, and they're going to be improving that on their next figure, who's a cat lady. If you've seen the videos on the channel before, you know we love cats here, so I'm definitely looking forward to that one. I think the only real downsides on this one are the bit of paint rub I got from the shirt to the stomach, and just the articulation being a little bit limited in some places. The tail is a little bit heavy, but I think you can work around that, and by the end of the review, I was doing all right with posing it. I felt like it's just kind of like balancing it so the figure doesn't fall backwards or anything. So let me know in the comments, does this more anime style anthropomorphic animal type design appeal to you? Or do you stick more to the more realistic, I suppose, looking fantasy things like Savage Crucible and whatnot? I hope you enjoyed this review, and I hope it helped you decide if you wanted to get this figure. I'll almost certainly be picking up their next figure, Tanya, as well, so look forward to that. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a great day. Remember to be kind to yourself and others, and I'll see you next time.